Saudi Arabia has a big landmass, and Saudi Arabia therefore be able to put up some resistance, but Qatar no. So Qatar realized that they can't be part and parcel of this grand alliance that is going to, with NATO, that is going to take some kind of a military action that eventually would provoke Sunni Shia civil war. And so Qatar is not prepared to toe the line. And Qatar wants to hedge her bets by maintaining friendly ties with Iran, while yet promoting terrorism. And the Saudis are not prepared to allow any Sunni state to step out of line, because if one were to show the courage to step out of line and resist, then that will help others, that will give support to others, that will give encouragement to others who similarly have misgivings and so on. They're not too happy with it. They also will take some support from Qatar standing up, and they also will be reluctant to join. And the Saudis cannot allow that. They want a solid Sunni bloc standing behind them, and then put this solid Sunni bloc in alliance with NATO. That's why you have Trump there. And this is the reason why you have this conflict now between Saudi Arabia and Qatar and Saudi client states around Saudi Arabia, supporting Saudi Arabia. Well, then what is the grand plan? What is the master plan? What do the Saudis want to do? And for this, they need to have the solidarity of the Sunni world. I've already said that the master plan, of course, is to foment, to provoke Sunni Shia civil war. And this will solidify Saudi Arabia's position of leadership over the Sunni world, and it'll be like an insurance policy ensuring that the Saudis will survive the Great War which is coming. But I want to now suggest that there's something else at work. And this is the most important thing that I want to share with you in this brief talk. And that is that I fear, I hope I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, I wish I'm wrong, but I see the moves on the chessboard, and I read it and understand it in this way, that there's going to be a sudden, a lightning move to land troops in Syria, northern Syria. Land troops from every single NATO member state and every single Sunni Muslim state led by Saudi Arabia. And this is what our Prophet ﷺ was mentioning, speaking about, when he mentioned that they come under 80 flags. And each flag would have 12,000 troops under the flag. I hope I'm wrong, I wish I'm wrong, but this is what I fear, that this prophecy of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ might be fulfilled in the coming days or weeks, with every single NATO member state sending troops, and every single Sunni Muslim state sending troops. And this is why Qatar has to be forced into line. I don't know whether they'll attack Qatar militarily. I don't know whether they'll do it or not. Somebody else might be able to tell you that. But when they land their troops, they will present Russia with what they hope to be a fait accompli. That the battle lines will be drawn. You have a vast array of NATO troops and a vast array of the whole Sunni world of Islam, all militarily present in northern Syria, facing the Syrian army, supported by Russia. And this is precisely the scenario which is there in the hadith, which leads to the Malhama, or to what the in Christian eschatology is called Armageddon. I am surprised that this great war has not started as yet. I had several dreams indicating to me that nuclear war is coming. I felt when Donald Trump won the election, and instead of Hillary Clinton, that this was for us a window of sunshine. that the Great War is now perhaps postponed for a few months. Well, it's more than 6 months now since the elections of last November. And I don't believe the Great War has started as yet, although some of my critics might differ with me. Yes, they differ with me in everything that I say. So the Great War has not started as yet. And for that we have to thank Allah. The window of sunshine, meaning, by the window of sunshine, meaning a postponement of the Great War. That is what I mean by a window of sunshine, that the Great War has been postponed for a while. For how much longer will it be postponed? I don't know. But what I know for certain is that it's coming. It's just a matter of time. And I'm not the only analyst who have come to this conclusion. There are so many others who have come to the same conclusion. And I think the Russian leadership themselves have come to the conclusion that nuclear war is inevitable. It's just a matter of time. If I am correct, that Saudi Arabia is going to lead the Sunni world of Islam into an alliance with NATO, and this in turn will play out with every single Muslim country, Sunni country, sending troops, and every single NATO country sending troops, and all of these troops landing in the north of Syria in a vast array, 80 flags facing the Syrian army in order to force regime change in Syria, so that Syria will become another Libya. If this is correct, if this analysis on my part is correct, then how do we respond? How do we respond? The answer is, it is almost certain that there are fabrications in some of the hadiths concerning Akhirul Zaman. And we should therefore be very, very careful when studying the hadiths pertaining to Akhirul Zaman, and in particular to the Malhama. We must use proper methodology. And proper methodology, here is my book, Methodology. Let me get it for you here. Methodology for study of the Quran. You must study this book. We have it in French now, we have it in Arabic, we have it in several languages. It's being translated to Russian. We have it in the Serbian language now. It's going to be available for you in Bosnia, in Serbia, and so on. This book explains to you proper methodology. And proper methodology when studying the ahadith pertaining to the Malhama is that you must go first to the Quran, and you must study the subject from the Quran. And then, having studied the subject from the Quran and having brought all the verses of the Quran on the subject into a harmonious whole, and located what my teacher Maulana Fadlur Rahman Ansari Rahimahullah calls the system of meaning of the subject, then and only then do you turn to the hadith. And when you find a hadith is in harmony with the Quran, you accept it. And if you find a hadith is in conflict with the Quran, you turn away from it. But in addition to this, I want to suggest to you that you will find a hadith in which part of the hadith is in harmony with the Quran and part is in conflict with the Quran. So you have to be extremely vigilant as a researcher, as a student, as a scholar. Extremely vigilant to be able to locate whenever and wherever a hadith or a part of a hadith is in conflict with the Quran, so that you will put it aside and not allow it to corrupt your understanding of the subject. With that, having said that, we now turn to the hadith concerning alliance with Rome, because the hadith says that Rome will land in the north of Syria, Rome, under 80 flags. And Rome, of course, we mentioned in this book, at the end of this book, you'll find the last part of the last chapter, that Rome, at the time of the revelation of the Quran, Rome was a Christian world. And that Christian world had its headquarters in Constantinople at the time of the revelation of the Quran. And that Christian world was known as the Byzantine Empire. But that Christian world then broke into two after the revelation of the Quran. And there came into being a Rome of the East, which is the old Byzantine Empire, which today is known as Orthodox Christianity. That is Rome. But there's also another Rome, which is the Western Christianity, which is headed by the Roman Catholic Church. And they are located in Rome. And so they say Roman, in Rome, the Vatican. And then that Roman Catholic Church itself broke up, and you have the Protestant movement, and you have this and that and the other, the Anglican, the Church of England, and so on. It is this Western Christianity which I call Rome of the West. And they have the celebration of Christmas according to the Gregorian calendar of Pope Gregory. They broke away from the previous calendar, which was known as the Julian calendar, which is still used by the Orthodox Christian world. And in that Orthodox Christian world, they celebrate their Christmas in January, whereas these celebrate their Christmas in December 25th. In that Orthodox Christian world, the cathedral is just like a